Welcome to the Economy Creators podcast and radio show on K-Fred Lifestyle Optimization Radio. I'm your host, Mary Farias. Economy Creators spotlights real stories of entrepreneurs and creators building their own personal economies around their unique interests, talents, and experiences. If you're an economy creator and would like to be on the show, I invite you to reach out and apply to be a guest. I love meeting and spotlighting economy creators. I'm here today with Donna Vanderhoff, one of our co-authors of the Economy Creators Anthology, and I am so thrilled that she is a part of this project because she has such an inspiring story to tell. And I think that it can really resonate with a lot of people who um, might not feel like they have what it takes to keep moving forward. And Donna is such a prime example of persistence and continuing to improve herself throughout her life. So, welcome, Donna.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Welcome. I'm so glad you're here. So, Donna, why don't you just tell everybody a little bit about yourself, who you are, where you came from, and what you're doing?
Okay. I currently live in North Carolina in a town you may not have heard of, Waxhaw. I'm about an hour south of Charlotte. Everyone's heard of Charlotte though, so they know them when I mention that. Um, and I come from Brooklyn, New York, though, as you'll learn by my accent after I speak for a while. I currently work for a local symphony. It was kind of an accidental kind of job. It was a manifested job, though, that I've learned, through the study of this material. I learned that I manifested it. Um, where I come from, I was a very angry person back then. And I've shifted a lot since I've come here and gotten in the study of this material. What I'm doing today is just I've got a lot of things going on right now, which we'll discuss, I'm sure.
Great. So Donna, thank you for sharing that. You are a co-author of this upcoming anthology. So why don't you tell us a little bit about why you felt compelled to be a part of this project?
Well, it started with, you had posted it and I got interested in it because I've always wanted to get my story out there. I used to I used to practice writing to and like just free form writing. I used to watch Sex in the City and I used to want to be like Carrie, to be able to just sit there and just write looking out the window, with her laptop. And I used to imagine that and I used to pose questions to myself in a notebook like, what if dating were easy? Or, the way she would post all these dating questions and stuff. And I just continue writing like just like a brain dump. And so there's always been an interest in getting my story out there. And then you presented it, Mary. And I liked what you had suggested to me in writing about my recovery story. And that really resonated with me because like I see, so many people. I've lost people in recovery because they went back out again and it was so important to keep that message of hope alive, that's something that impacted me. Like ever since I was young, I always thought that tomorrow could be better than today. That was always my thought. And even when I was young, there was always a hope though. I didn't grow up wealthy or anything. We were quite like poor, working class kind of. And there was always like my parents always had that let's do better. Let's move better, move up the ladder kind of thing. We started off in an apartment two-bedroom apartment. I had my own room and my parents had their room. And once my brother was born, he stayed in my parents' room for a while in his crib. And they were saving though for a house. They wanted better. So I saw that with my parents and I got that idea of hope. I also took on a lot of their paradigms, which is not that great, but that was a good thing I took from them, that moving yourself up idea. And I just felt compelled like because it was just such a transformational thing for me to get sober. And I just wish it for other people who are stuck in that cycle of, you know, going around and drinking and drugging and living for the weekend kind of existence and stuff. Because I've been there and I know the the the, like, desperation you feel, like, I used to feel like I knew there was something better, like, I knew, like, this can't be all there is to life, but I didn't know how to get out of it. I just kept going in that circle, I was trapped in that circle of addiction, and, I finally got my way out by going to AA. And I just wanna be that message to people because I never took on any sponsees really in my journey, but I'd like to kind of be a sponsee to the world or to the people that read this book in a way, to pass along this message to someone who needs it, like I needed the message and it was provided to me by someone.
Yeah. Oh, I love that, Donna, and thank you for doing that because it's such an important thing for people to be able to have that hope and to be able to move past that desperation and that like you said, that swirl of just that cycle of addiction. I think that it is so great. And here's the thing is that you're creating an economy around who you are, and you wouldn't have been able to really make these new decisions of where you're going if you were still stuck in that cycle, right?
No way, no way. I mean, we, w you know, I know, like, your level is much higher than mine where I'm at these days, but our paths wouldn't have even crossed, because I I was looking for this material kind of. I was always at the self-help section in a bookstore, you know?
Mhm.
So and that grew into self-development, but it started out as the self-help section. So I was always interested in that and reading stuff like that, but, the steps I really took to move out, um I don't know that we would have found each other actually, because it it I would wake up on the weekends and I'd be so disgusted with myself that I did it again after drinking and drugging all weekend. And there were periods of sobriety in there, like during the week I wouldn't drink as much, I'd go to work and stuff, but it was still so stuck in that thing that I wouldn't have had, like, the confidence to go out and do things. I mean, I had a little bit. I walked into my first AA meeting, which was a lot to do. I was by myself and everything, but I was so scared to talk. I didn't talk for the longest time in AA, and I didn't even talk just in general. I always had my head in a book. So, it, it wouldn't have even, like, been on my radar to kinda get this connected in this material.
Yeah. Yeah, and what about, moving towards you really wanna focus on investments and you wanna focus on real estate and that type of thing. Was that an idea back when you were in your cycle of addiction, or is that something that's happened since then?
That started quite a while ago. I was still in addiction, I think. That started when I first read Rich Dad Poor Dad,
Mhm.
and I think that was in the 80s, if I'm right, that book.
Right.
I initially got sober in 94, so I was still heavily drinking there towards the end, because I started so young. I started like the first time I drank was like 12.
Oh,
I was 12 years old
yeah.
at a neighbor's party. So that when got sober initially, it was 1994, and I was only 24 years old when I first got sober. So I was kind of young to be getting sober. There were lots of old timers around me in the rooms at the time. The rooms is what they call the AA meetings, um, because a lot that was like the older generation that was sober. We were starting to get some young people. Um, Young people tended to go to NA, for drugs a lot. You think of like kind of like the older guy sitting at the end of the bar. That's what we had a lot of in AA at the time when I got in. All those older guys that would have been sitting at the end of the bar. Um, but I was young, and I had gotten into wanting to get real estate and wanting to be wealthy. That was always an ambition of mine, kind of. I wanted to be wealthy, have a business. And it fascinated me, and it still does today. I post about it on Facebook, like financial literacy. I love to learn what the wealthy do with their money. How do they stay so wealthy? Because it's one thing getting wealthy, like we hear about the classic lotto winner. We hear about them and how they lose their money shortly after that because they don't get the mindset of being a wealthy person where, wealthy people live for the long term. They set up trusts and everything for their generations to come after them. Um, they don't live for like the moment, but like when you get the lotto winners, they're just like they're still that instant gratification mentality, and they just go out and buy like the hot rod cars, the crazy expensive cars and everything, and they buy everybody a house, a mansion. And then they turn around one day and they don't have any money anymore. Whereas the rich, they buy things that pay for their lifestyle. They don't spend the money on lifestyle things. They buy an asset, they buy a rental property, and then the rent they make off the property will fund their lifestyle. And, but that's not what the lotto winners do. They just getting consumer items, and that doesn't pay, that doesn't earn its keep. It doesn't pay them anything. So, I was always interested in that whole mentality and, that whole way of thinking of the way the wealthy think. So, that's what got me interested in that stuff.
Yeah, that's great. I love that. I love that, and it's so true. It is a mindset shift because people who just get money dropped into their lap go, "Oh, like it's a free for all. Let's go." And people who have actually earned it and given their money a job have more of a um, I don't know, feel more responsible, I suppose, for it, and want it to happen more, right? Want more to come, and I think maybe a lot of people who win the lottery just they might not think that it's coming back, right? Or this is a one-time opportunity, a once in a lifetime opportunity versus the wealthy who have that, well, let's make this money work for me. Let's keep going. Let's build more. Let's use compound interest. Let's do this. Let's get the best interest rate, right? So you're right. Financial literacy is so important. I think that's wonderful. So good for you. So, Donna, tell me, what is something throughout your economy, creating this and coming with that idea of being interested in what the wealthy do and all of that. And up until now, you've done a lot of personal development work and had such a huge step taking a huge step moving forward when you got sober and when you did all of that. So what is something that you had to shift in your mindset? What is something that you had to unlearn in order to get to where you are now?
There were so many shifts. One of the shifts I was just talking with you about that I just noticed was that I've learned to soothe myself, self-soothe, because I didn't grow up with that. I grew up with parents that they were caring in a way, but they they didn't teach me that as a child. You know, I happened to be criticized a lot, and I continued that as in myself as I got older. And I didn't learn how to talk myself down from like a rage episode. That was my first reaction was rage kind of when I used to live in Brooklyn. And it still happens sometimes when I'm in North Carolina now. But I'm aware of it now and I kind of talk myself down from it or kind of I try to set myself up for a positive outcome. Like when I have to drive, which is always a difficult thing for me, it's a challenging thing for me. And I take on the challenge by starting off driving by smiling. I just start off with a smile and as I ride along, I thank my parents. They're in heaven, but I still thank them. I still talk to them all the time. And I thank them for guiding me and giving me answers and giving me a clear path to work as I'm driving along, and I've got nobody behind me, and
Mhm.
uh, and if I do get people behind me, I just say, "Okay, okay, I'll deal with this," and the people, and I notice that when I get a better mood about it, the people back off when I'm driving. Um, yeah, it's really interesting that my mood is causing the people to back off. And it's so funny that we do create what we think about. And I see it in action in that way. And the changes another change is I smile at people now. I say hello to people. In Brooklyn, I didn't want anybody looking at me.
Oh.
I used to be so antisocial. Like when I drank, I got social though. Talked. That was my main initial thing of getting into drinking was I felt so relaxed. Once I had one drink in me, like just a sip of it, I would relax and feel social and not feel the intense um criticism of myself that I always felt, and it would allow me to open up and be able to talk because I didn't care what anyone was thinking. It was like I was so relieved of any anxiety I had that I was always carrying around.
Mhm.
So it made it easy for me to be social. But it wasn't so easy towards the end of the night because I'd be slurring. No one would be able to understand me. They wouldn't wanna talk to me because I was making no sense, so
Oh, Ghana. So, what is it that really that really caused you to want to get sober?
oh, I have an interesting story about that. I, um I was going on drinking, and I surrounded myself with people who kinda drank like I did, of course, and I was doing that for a while, and I started getting to a point where people were, like, making comments. I was away with some girlfriends, visiting one of them up in Connecticut, and we went out for drinks the night before. We found the local bar, of course, and we're drinking. And the next morning, we all slept over her place, and, the next morning, the first thing I did was go in the refrigerator and get a beer and open up a beer. And they both were like, "Donna, maybe it's a little early for that?" And I was like, "I'm on vacation, leave me alone?" I just pushed it off on that. So, I was kinda like, making excuses. I didn't wanna hear what they were saying, so I did that for a while, but then a guy I was dating said to me one night, because he drank too, but he didn't like doing drugs, and at the end of my drinking, once I started drinking, even before this, it opened it up to doing drugs. Um, and, he didn't like that. He didn't like doing drugs, was against them and everything, so I would always drop him off at the end of the night. Yeah, it's crazy. One night, we're in his apartment, and we were drinking, and I was about to, like, say goodbye, uh, and make my way out to the night, and I said that to him, "I'm gonna go out." And he's like, "Donna, maybe you need help." And when he said that, it was like a ton of bricks hit me. It was something like I don't know why, it just that clicked for some reason. Because other people had been saying things to me like, but that word that I need help,
Mhm.
I thought, because always thought I could handle anything, you know? I didn't need help, and because if anything, I was the one that was kind of put to look after my brother and my father when my mother died. So I was helping them in a way. Like, so I lacked people around me that I could go to for help, like my parents. So I just learned to be independent and doing everything on my own. So when he said that I needed help, like I needed another person, that really hit me. And I said, okay, I'll go to AA. And I stopped drinking that night. I think I went out that night, but then the next night, the next day, I stopped drinking, even before the AA meeting, and I just, because that was on, like, a Saturday. I think I went out Friday night when he said it, and Saturday, the next day, I didn't drink, I didn't go out that night and drink, and then Sunday, it's funny, I went to a library because I love books and love reading. So I used to go around to the libraries near me, and they'd have book sales. They'd have a table out at the front that they were selling books at. So I went to this library, and lo and behold, this book in the book sale table is called Alcoholics Anonymous. and I
Oh.
and I had already planned. I was going to a meeting on Tuesday because I knew of someone that usually went to that meeting, so I wanted that to be my first meeting. So I had an idea that my friend would be there. So my first meeting wouldn't be alone. So I knew I was going Tuesday. So this was Sunday, and I came across this book called Alcoholics Anonymous. So of
Wow.
course I bought it, of course, and it turns out that book is what we call our big book in AA. It's our main text.
Oh, wow.
So it was so funny that I had gotten the main text that weekend. That book just appeared on that table. It was meant for me.
Yeah.
So I stayed sober and made Tuesday my first meeting. And I had some slip ups, some slips in between that. But I've been sober. I never turned my back on that though. I would have a slip, just drink like one beer and give up my time,
Mhm.
to just like it's like it's like they say in AA ruins your drinking. Once you get a taste of AA and a taste of sobriety, it's like you can't enjoy your drinking anymore because there's a better way.
Yeah.
So So even though I would have a slip, I would know the next day I was gonna go right back into AA, so I wouldn't even, like, have a really good slip, you know, and really go all out. So I'd be right back in AA the next day and counting my days and starting from 0 again, and, I'm sober now since, March 30th of 2001. So I'm coming up
Wonderful.
yeah, coming up on 25 years, and
Yeah. Good
and
for
are
you.
thank you. Yes, it's a big milestone, 25 years, like, a quarter of a century, I can't believe it.
Yeah. Yeah. That's incredible. That's wonderful. Oh,
I
go
just
ahead.
wanna throw in that, um, I just celebrated on the 24th, I think it was is when oh, just 3 days ago,
Mhm.
I was clean off drugs for 32 years.
Wonderful. Oh,
I
so good.
'Cause that's since 1994.
Good for you.
January 24th, 1994.
Yay. Oh, congratulations. Doesn't that feel good?
Thank you. Yeah, it's amazing. I remember getting going into AA, and I heard that somebody had 20 years on that at that first meeting, and I was like, 20 years? Oh my god.
Yeah.
That seemed like the longest amount of time to me. I was like, how do you do something like that?"
Yeah. Yeah. Well, you figured it out.
Yeah.
You asked, you got the answer, right?
There's always an answer.
There's always an answer. So, one of the things that is remarkable about you, Donna, inside of the personal development community that we do and have together is that so many of what it's things that we discuss tie into your experience in AA. So in personal development, like building habits and just um like you said, just starting over one day at a time and not looking at the yes, we want the full picture is sobriety, right? And for in personal development, the full picture is living in the end of the goal, but at the same time, we have to do today's work today. Right? And so what is the biggest parallel that you see between what we do in self-development and what you learned in AA?
Oh, there's so many, but
Mhm.
that's a big one. That's a big one, that day at a time. Like, we have a day at a time, and you take it like a day at a time in self-development. It's a step at a time. There there's like a process to like, if you wanna say, like, mastery would be the top of self-development, and but, like, even with that, like, in self-development, you're always in self-development, you're always in the study of it, and with AA, they say you're in recovery, because in AA, they talk about being an arm's length away from your next drink.
Mm.
So you're and they use their wording very very accurately, kind of. They say you're in recovery. You're a recovering alcoholic. You're not a recovered alcoholic. You're never recovered, because then you think you've like graduated and you're done with it, you know.
Session champagne. Right. Yeah.
Yeah, let's celebrate. I graduated. So you're never done with it, just like you're never done with study. You
Mm.
can always keep advancing.
Yeah. Yeah, that's such a great way to think about it too is you know, our my mentor, Bob Proctor, he never stopped studying. He read Think and Grow Rich every day for 61 years until the day he died. And that is just what you do. You better yourself every single day. And yeah, I just love it when you pull examples from your experience because it's so it's germane to everything that we're talking about, and it just makes so much sense, and it makes sense why it works for people, AA, right?
Yeah, yeah. And something else I just noticed from our teaching, what you were talking about in our study, is it's a simple program for complex people. That's what it says. They say in AA. And like with self-development, it's simple, but it's not easy, right? Is that how the saying goes? Um, and it's simple to do. It's a simple program, but we're coming with our baggage from years ago, and we bring that baggage with us. So it makes it not easy for us to do, but the directions are simple. You notice a thought, you change a thought, you know. I also studied, I want to bring her up, you probably know her by now. Uh, I studied with a woman named Tanya Lee, and she always talked about going to the thought store.
Yeah.
And that stuck in my head for some reason, about changing my thoughts. Because I used to never think my thoughts could be changed. I thought they just happened to me. And that was pointed out in the other book I'm reading, that by that guy David, like that you never stop thinking. Your thoughts just always come. And I thought they just happened to me and I had no choice in it. This is what I'm thinking, 'cause I used to be told when I was younger, oh, snap out of it. Think pleasant thoughts or something. I'm like, I can't. I thought it was just happening to me. I thought I have no choice in this matter. This is just what I think, and I can't help it. That's that that was exactly what I used to say to defend myself when I was younger and I had negative thoughts or, negative feelings. And no one around me understood any better, so I didn't get any direction on it. They just it was like my father that grew up with me dealing with this stuff. You just say, "Snap out of it. Think a better thought," or something. That that was his way of helping me, and it was no help at all. It couldn't do anything for me, but that was the only direction I had to go on. So when someone was introduced to me that said, "You can change your thoughts. You can go to the thought store and pick a better one that's more empowering for you," I was like, "Ooh, yay." I
Yay.
I really latched on to that idea.
Yeah. No, that's very powerful. It's very powerful to realize that we do have that power to and control when we are in control of our thoughts and of our minds and Napoleon Hill talks about controlling your own mind. Be in control of your own mind. And it's true. So many times we think our thoughts are thinking themselves and they're just keep coming. But I love that thought store. I think that that's so great. Yeah, pick one. Which one do you want? Pick your
Yeah.
thought. I love that.
A more empowering one, a better one. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, that's so good. Well, there are more interviews to come throughout this year. I'm so excited because as we go throughout this process in the economy creators and the anthology, I want to highlight what each of the co-authors is doing along the way and the progress that you're making. So, Donna, as we finish up today, what is something that that you're looking forward to at the end of this year when the book comes out and you're done with this chapter? What is something that you're looking forward to?
Oh, wow. Well, it'll be just the beginning when the book's done.
Yeah.
That's just the beginning. I mean, I'm looking forward to like a tour. Let's go on a book tour. I'll be a travel agent by then so I can book it.
There you go. Well, Donna, thank you for spending time with me today, and thank you for sharing your story and at least part of it with everybody. And I know that your chapter is going to be so inspirational, and I can't wait for it to be published and be a part of the anthology. I think it's going to inspire so many people who have gotten into that really feeling stuck rut, right? And feeling like I don't know how to get out of here. And I think you're right when that gentleman said maybe you need help. So many of us think that we can do it by ourselves, so many things. And really we're here to help each other. And when that's a big paradigm shift in itself is just being able to accept help in the first place.
Yes, yes, definitely.
Thank you so much, Donna. I really appreciate your spending some time with me and sharing your story. And there's much more to come.
Thank you so much for having me. This was great.
I hope you enjoyed Donna's interview. I know she will inspire many, many people with her message of hope. Hope. It's such a small word, but filled with so much meaning. Without hope for a better tomorrow, we don't really have any reason to improve our lives, to change things as we see them, or to continue forward for anything. Donna's feeling of hope is what moved her forward. It's what helped her to take that first step into an AA meeting. It's what allowed her to dare to dream for a better life. So if you're feeling stuck, if you're feeling like what is happening around you is defining you, I encourage you to take a note from Donna. Dare to hope that tomorrow could be better. Then simply take it one step at a time. And thank you for listening. Are you an economy creator? I want to meet you. Join me for my free Economy Creators Challenge that I host the first week of every month. And if you're interested in being on the Economy Creators podcast and radio show here on KFred Lifestyle Optimization Radio, please reach out and apply. I can't wait to meet you.